is linked up. I'll check us on YouTube. It says started broadcasting.
Okay, hello and welcome to There Is No Book Club group discussion of Caliban's War. I am with Tracy and Aiden and Adrian and Christian. I don't know which way they are on screen, but I'm pointing anyways. Is that we've got the spoiler banner up, so I think we're probably jumping in with full spoilers, right? Is that the
I'm always good with just like knocking any kind of restrictions off of our conversation. So
Okay.
yeah, I feel good with like just jumping right in.
Okay.
Is that spoilers for like the whole series?
Just for Caliban's War.
Cool. Because I don't want the rest of these books to be spoiled yet. I just want to talk about this book.
I'm so glad you said that.
As do I.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that's the case, I'm going to head out.
Yeah, I think...
Fair.
So me and Adrian we've read the whole series, right, Adrian?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the other three of us have not. So I'm excited about predictions from you guys.
Yeah, I've watched the entire TV series, but I've only read through the end of book 2. So, and I think Aiden's through book 3.
I'll have my best poker face on for spoilers.
You better.
Or predictions, I mean. Like, hide my face.
That's a dead giveaway.
No, I could be hiding my face because I'm laughing at how ridiculous it is.
Okay.
How wrong it is.
So what's genteel.
What's our first topic, Tracy?
What I have written down, I believe, is new characters. Well, I was going to start us out with a summary. Do we need a summary if we're doing full spoilers, or do we just want to like jump into it and assume that everybody's read this book? Opinions?
We've all read Caliban's War, right?
Right. So just jump in.
I say I want to jump.
Yay!
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
who
you.
Wants to jump with me?
I do.
Jumping.
I'm with your spirit of the jumpiness. Okay, so then we're going with new characters first. And the first two that I have written down are Prax and May. And I clumped them together, even though they are two new characters, but Prax's dad and Maya's daughter, and they're like, because of their connection, I feel like talking about them together is kind of like intertwined, if you will. So thoughts on Prax and May. I mean, I kind of like when I first picked up Caliban's War and it started out with like a small child's perspective, I was like, what? Do I have the right book? Yeah.
That was a surprise. That was a surprise for me. And, you know, she's just living her little life. And I'm going, okay, what are you doing? But it's great. Just the writers do these great things. I love her.
I love how realistic it was to like being inside a child's mind, because it was written so like, I don't know. I felt like it was authentically like.
Yeah, I love how they took her whole preschool thing, like, mommy,
Yeah.
What's happening right now? Okay. No.
I like that the introduction of Prax and May. Okay, so what the authors could have done, which I'm glad they didn't, was doing a like wife scenario, like missing girlfriend or missing spouse. And they kind of, I like the workaround that happened in the first book in Leviathan Wakes, because we have a missing girl scenario. And I feel like typically in a lot of literature, it'd be like, oh, like something happens to the wife or girlfriend, and then this motivates the man to like tell his story. But in Leviathan Wakes, Miller's not really connected to Julie. Like, he becomes kind of like bonded to her through his search for her. So they kind of avoided that trope. And then they did it again with having like a parent and child versus man searching for a lost wife or a lost girlfriend. So I think that was a good choice.
I agree.
I was very relieved when at the end she did not die. That was my big dreading, and I did not want to continue if she died, because it would have been, especially having her POV early in the book, I was, invested from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And watching Prax trying to rescue her and not being able to, and everyone telling him, no, that's a dumb idea. Like when he, it's like, we should just tell them all we're going down. And Holden just like throws him across the room. But I was thinking, because I actually read the last half of the book in like 2 or 3 days in order to catch this live stream. And I remember the whole time I was like, man, we're getting to the craziness of the end of the avalanche. I hope May does not die. If she does, I'm done reading and I'll just watch the show. Because I've only seen the first season, so I know nothing beyond what happens in the last episode of season. Or last episode, season 1. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Because I knew from the beginning, I was like, okay, I love season 1. I'm gonna start reading the books. Book 1 was so close to how season 1 was that I'm now beyond what I know, and I have no idea what's going to happen. And so I was very happy May made it to the end and that they were reunited, because I didn't know if this was going to be a full series kind of hunt or, all of that. And it wasn't. It was done in this book, and now we can move on.
Yeah.
So
I was genuinely kind of surprised that May was still alive. Like, I think that was just genuinely a shocker. I was expecting that they would do all of this stuff and that like Prax would feel that dedication and like just kind of I'm really glad that the authors didn't fall into that of like, oh, he gets there and then she's dead and now he's like, oh, I have nowhere to go, so I guess I'll just join the Rocinante crew. Like, it was nice that it kind of like ended that story up for him with him going back to Ganymede. Like, I was like, all right, cool. Like, it kind of sucked that he didn't stay on the Rocinante just because I did love Amos and Prax so much, but it made sense that he went back to Ganymede. I'm cool with that. Like, I was like, fair enough.
I mean, especially with the position that he's given,
Yeah.
like he gets to go back and help them build Ganymede all over again.
Yep.
And he's like, yeah, okay, that sounds great.
Sure.
Like, he's definitely got the fortitude in him to do it now. Like, if he ever thought he couldn't before, he's like, yes, I can rebuild a planet. I can do that. I'm Prax.
That's cool as fuck, dude.
He met the Rocinante and everybody, and he's super strong. He's ready to go back and kick ass and start from the beginning because he's the one who knows all about how to do it, how to get the food going, how to take care of the water, all that stuff. So he's the guy. I love him. I love Prax.
Oh yeah.
I think Holden says something about Prax, how when he's looking at this man who should just be falling apart, he's saying, I think it was, he makes an excellent scientist because his process is like dusting himself off, like getting back and then putting things back together and going back to work, and how he thought like Prax would make just this amazingly dedicated scientist because despite all of the knocks that he's been blown, like he keeps going afterwards. And yeah, like I love Prax.
I love him too.
I don't know. Okay, for anyone who's watched the show, I won't say any show spoilers, I don't think, but I definitely saw the actor for Prax in my head as I was reading.
Absolutely. Could not switch it.
Is he in season 1? Because I don't remember him at all. Okay. So I was trying to think of a headcanon. I couldn't get one, so he's just a cloud in my head until I get one.
I remember Caliban's War was the first book that I read where I was like, I have to see a clip of the show to see like how does this match up with what happened in the book just now. Like, and it was that very end bit. I mean, I guess I'll just say it with Venus. I looked that up. I wanted to watch that clip, and my mind was blown. And immediately I was like, all right, I got to watch this show. And so I started watching the show again. But like the first 2 seasons are fantastic, and it was just so, like like just on the show, and they did a fantastic job with the show and the books. It feels like they're just so in sync. It feels like this is what the books are. We're like seeing them in action. It's awesome. It's so cool.
I'm very relieved to hear that because I don't know how much it changes, and I don't want to watch the show until I read everything, all the books and the novellas. Because just from season 1, I knew how close it was going, and if they continue to do that, I'm happy. So, I'm very relieved.
I think really awesome.
I think it's one of those shows that's done a really great adaptation. Ripley,
welcome.
Welcome.
Sorry, I got the time wrong.
Oh, no problem.
You're fine.
We're talking about Prax and May.
May, yeah.
If you have anything to add, feel free to jump in.
They are adorable.
That is true. That is true. It's a really sweet parental duo.
Unit.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like that's not always the case. So like the fact that he's like across the universe for my daughter. Away I go.
There we go.
Yeah. I love that.
Never. Even though he said consistently said like, although she may already be dead. He kept trying to get that into his mind. But he wanted to hear the words, but he knew in his heart she wasn't. He knew it.
Yeah.
That's why I love him. I always wonder the writers, like, how did they make sure that we knew that he was just wanted to hear the words, but that we knew he knew. If that make any sense.
Yeah, I think that does. Especially the way, excuse me, I'm so sorry. The way that it's written, like as a parent, and I mean really probably as anyone who loves another person deeply and intensely, you don't ever want to give up the idea that they are gone beyond redemption without absolute proof. So even though he was trying so hard to like brace himself for what he felt was a very realistic like outcome for this, he, like you said, that you feel that he's not deeply into that belief, even though it's what he's trying to tell himself.
He's preparing his little heart,
right?
His wonderful little heart.
I love it.
We love you, Prax.
I did want to ask about the difference between how Prax handles the situation and how Katoa's family handles the situation.
That was rough.
Right.
Rough.
Super rough, and I'm trying not to be spoilery.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Here I am. Hello, everyone.
You're trying not to be spoilery.
Oh, darn it. They just, you're right. You're right. They basically just gave up, and there was just nothing, and they're like, well, we're leaving. But Prax, and then when he found him, that was heavy. That was super heavy. Yeah, super heavy.
After that moment, I was thinking about where May was, because I was like, okay, here's a confirmation on one of the kids. And I had a sneaking prediction that one of the monsters was May, and they would accidentally kill it, and afterwards find out about it. And I was like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. Because that would be... I live for that in books of like really gut-punching moments, because that means that the book is really good and I can really feel deep emotions. But that was not something I wanted to happen. So again, very relieved that they paired up again at the end.
Yeah.
And having, I guess, a happy life. I don't know what happens after, but...
Yeah, well, you have to really think about their different like family situations. Like with Katoa's family, he had the father. He's like, I have other children to take care of. But with Prax, May was really all that was keeping him going. Until he finds her, he just he's running on just pure adrenaline and this determination.
That's a really good point. That's a very good point. Like, because the situation on Ganymede becomes dire. There's not food. They're concerned about like safety for everybody. And if you're, again, parent, someone who loves another person deeply and wants to make sure that they're taken care of, those choices like feel very, very different, very like life-threatening in that
Prax
moment.
didn't even have his work anymore. You know, like everything that was a part of him was gone. So like May was his just guiding star. Like
yeah.
That would be how it would be for somebody in a natural disaster, an earthquake, a mudslide, something. That's all you would be doing is trying to find your child or your loved one. That's exactly what happened to Prax.
Yeah. And I think Aiden touched on it a little bit while we're still talking about Prax, the Prax-Amos relationship.
A million chef's kisses. To the end of time, I will stand on this hill until I die. I stand them. They're the best.
Such a sweet relationship.
Yeah.
Adrian, I can barely hear you.
Yeah.
How about now?
Oh, so much better. Yeah.
Wait, now I'm getting a lot of background noise from the fan again, I think.
There you go. Try it again.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
It's working now.
Yeah. I think that Prax has a pivotal impact on Amos. And again, like I only know Amos from like all the way through the series, through the TV show. So I don't know what's going to happen to book Amos and how Prax's influence kind of plays out through the rest of his storyline. But I was just kind of wondering like if everyone else felt the same way. Like Prax is like important for multiple reasons, and one of those is Amos's character development.
I thought Amos was going to sacrifice himself to save May. I had that prediction about middle of the way once we really started to see the bromance really develop. I was like, oh no, please Amos don't die. Like, great on you if you rescue May while doing so, but please don't. I don't want to lose him.
Right.
So.
The rescuing of May. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
The rescuing of May and just the decision to go get her really brought out everything about Amos's background.
Ooh, yeah.
And he was like, we're going to go get her, right? We're going.
I'm actually not sure if I think Prax's storyline was pivotal in Amos's development. I think you could have substituted any person in that scenario and you would have gotten the same Amos.
Okay.
So like it's his role was pivotal, but Prax as a person, maybe not. Because I don't want to say Amos is simple. I don't think he's simple, but he has his kind of like set morals, his code, I guess. And he kind of just goes by that, you know, as he's continuing along like the story. It's almost like he's always an autopilot. Like Amos always just does what Amos does. So, I mean, from book 1 to book 2, but here is when you really start to see Amos as a person, and it's through Prax that you're like, oh, okay. Like I thought you were maybe a little bit different, and then like you get to know Amos better.
Do you think it's more May?
Yeah.
Who has like the pivotal impact then on Amos, the fact that it's the situation that it is, like this almost necessary combination of a child in distress that Amos can do something about, like that hits like a personal chord with him. Like, is that like more how you feel about it?
I would say yes. It's that father-child, parent-child relationship that I think that Amos is like 100% like ready to just throw himself into to do what he can.
Okay.
I think there was at one point when he was talking to Prax about, I think it was like the trade or something, and you kind of like get these hints dropped in about Amos's backstory. Like it's not good. Like the things that he's bringing up, you're like, ooh, that's terrible. But you can tell that he's probably dealt with some very, very extremely difficult situations in his life. And so this affects him.
I like that.
Yeah, there's this one moment between Prax and Amos that when I read it, and I even came back to it earlier today just because I wanted to skim through the book and just see if there were any things that I pulled. I actually pulled a lot in my journal, which I was like, yes, I have notes about this. I'm stoked about that. But there was this one point where after Prax has like his ex-wife like slander him, which I completely forgot about, and I was like, damn, what the fuck? Anyway, Amos is like, they kind of have like this talk, and Amos is like, did you actually do that stuff? And Prax is like, no. And he says, if I had done those things, that would have been okay with you, ? And then Amos is like, oh, fuck no. And I'm just like, yes, dude.
He says, I would have thrown you out the airlock yesterday.
It feels like it just goes off on that, like, it doesn't matter that it's Prax. Like, it could have been anybody. Like, and that he would still, like, he does go by his Amos morals. Like, just that he follows this one code, and, like, it doesn't fucking matter who it is. Get the fuck off my ship, dude. Like, if you don't follow that, go. And I love that little interaction. I think that it's just like, I love you, Amos. I love you, man.
That's why I'm so excited to, because before book 3, I'm going to pick up the novella one collection.
Yeah.
I noticed in one of them there's an Amos background novella.
The Churn.
And I was like, I need to read that. I want everything. And I don't really know Amos.
Yeah.
And this is the endorsement for Memories Legion.
Yeah.
It's great. And the audiobooks are so great of them in their little audiobook collection. It's just wonderful.
Oh, neat. I didn't know that there was like an audiobook collection for it. That's kind of cool. Okay, so are you guys good on Prax and May so we can move on to Bobby?
Yeah.
Love her.
Feel Amber's like, I have been waiting 23 minutes for this. All right. Roberta Draper.
Don't call her Roberta.
I know, right?
Draper.
That's right. Put me in my place. I'm sorry. It's Bobby.
I think what I love so much about Bobby is, again, the authors could have made Bobby's character a man so easily. And it would have fallen into that big, Martian, Marine, manly man. But they didn't do that. They gave us Bobby, who, when almost anyone sees her for the first time, the first thing they realize is like how big she is. But not only is she giant, like she is beautiful. So like she just kind of like makes men completely dumbfounded, and she's been able to like pick up on it too. She's like, okay, like he's one of those, lizard.
That is hilarious when she does that. She calls it straight up about Holden when that happens. That's such a great scene.
Yeah.
That was so cringy. Like Holden's reaction to Bobby, I was like, God, just stop.
But lizard brains are cringy, right? Aren't lizard brains cringy? Yeah.
Perfectly written for just the right response. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it was awkward. I was like, what?
What did Holden say? Like, we get some like background into him, like, oh, I did a tour on Fort so-and-so when I was in the military. And they always have a thing for like these women that look like this. And it's just like, oh, Holden.
Oh, no.
Yeah, well, Hawaii or something maybe.
Yeah, like one of the Pacific islands or something like that.
Yeah.
But what I really love about Bobby is because on the crew we already have a Martian, which is Alex, but how he was raised, like he did his 20 years and then he checked out. But with Bobby, you really get to see the whole Martian in the military joining and dying for a cause, and how they're taught in that back when you're at with Alex.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we haven't really got to see anything because Alex is so jovial most of the time. We didn't get to see the whole like militaristic side of Mars yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, I'm retired, and all I did was take one thing to another thing. Like, he wasn't a soldier. He wasn't trained death walking like Bobby is. You know, there's this huge difference in their training and their gear and their objectives. Like,
oh,
Alex
he didn't
was
ever
like,
wear one of those suits. Yeah, he was a pilot.
Yeah,
a glorified truck driver.
Right, and she all she ever wanted was to be in her suit. That was her thing.
I think my favorite Bobby moment is when they're on Jewel Pierre Mal's ship, and she's just like, I think she's like at the door and she's like yelling ahead to the two guys who have like locked her out of whatever section of Jewel Pierre's Mal's ship. And she's like, nothing's going to stop me. Like, do you really want me to tear through the ship to get to you? And they're like, okay, we surrender. And it was just like, you get that feeling like she really could, like she will too.
Yeah. I love how they brought her combat suit onto the ship in a chest called formal wear.
Yeah.
It is her formal wear, right? That's her fancy. She wants to be in it, much like
I love that, Adrian.
like Ripley when she was able to operate that machine in Alien.
The mech,
The mech, yeah. Right. Oh, the mech. Oh,
I thought you were talking about our Ripley for a second.
So did I. I was like, what did you get to do?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Ooh, multi-talented.
I love the detail about Bobby's suit. Like that Bobby's suit is this one like old suit. It's her suit. She's had it for like ever. And like she just doesn't want to change it. And I just love that little detail because it fits her perfect. It's like
she can't change it. They don't have a suit to fit her because she's
so fucking big. She's like a fucking mountain, man. This is awesome.
What I also love about Bobby, like I can't remember if they say this in the book as well, but they say it like in the show, is that even though like she knows she's like a big beautiful woman, like she goes, I don't use sex as a weapon. I use weapons as weapons.
Best line. Yeah. So good. So glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and it really like just shows her mentality because like in other like shows or books, when you see like a beautiful woman, they'll use their sexuality to get what they want, but she's like, no, bitch, I don't need that.
That's right. That's right.
Have you seen me?
Yeah, someone in Avasarala's circle, I think, or no, it was one of the guys on Mal's ship was looking at her, and Avasarala was like, can you talk to him?
Like the executive officer. Yeah, the executive officer was eyeing her, right? And so Avasarala and Kotir both asked her, hey, can you talk him up during our next meal, right? She's like, no.
Yeah.
No.
I think, too, something that really stood out to me was how technical, like Bobby is at one thing, and then when she's put in this position by Avasarala, she's really out of her element, and she's she's really trying her best. And it's not until she catches wind of this like conspiracy that she kind of like uses her military strength as an advantage, and she finally has a chance to do something like of worth for Avasarala instead of just I think that at first Avasarala just wanted her because it was a tool for Avasarala to use, but as time goes on, they really like they find a relationship. Maybe she reminds Avasarala of her son or something like that. I'm not totally sure if that's a possibility, but she kind of just figures her way into something, and then once she like catches wind, she's like a bloodhound. So we've got this really like epic showdown at this bar where someone's like handing over a drive to someone else, and she's like, oh, like, are we gonna brawl today? Like, are we gonna have a fight now? And of course, like, she could deal with them. They're like stooges. She's just like, quick work.
But man, I bet that felt good to her.
Right?
You know?
It was like triumphant moment for her, even though we're given such intense battle scenarios and such tense situations throughout the whole book. Like, this one little moment for me was like, yes.
Yeah. I love in that moment, like, as soon as, because in the bar is when the assistant is passing off like a data chip, and she's like, oh, I probably would have gotten extra points if I grabbed the chip, but oh well.
Yeah. Bobby in the book to me feels like she's most herself whenever she's in a situation where she gets to like destroy things. You know what I mean? Like, that's what her training's for. She's like, I can do this. I'm big and I'm badass and I'm taking these things down. And it's just
anything you can do, I can do better.
Yes. Like just
that's her thing.
The way that she's written, she was the reason why I wanted to read the stories, like the books. Amber was telling me about them, and she was telling me about Bobby, and I was like, okay, like that sounds like a character I can get behind. And so then I was really disappointed when she wasn't in the first book.
Oh yeah.
I was like, but where's the badass lady with the suit? Where is she? She's not in here. But then to get her like in the next book was really, really, really good. Yeah, she became one of my absolute favorite characters.
Her showdown with the new and improved Proto-Molecule alien was very intense. But I won't say exactly what changed, but there are some differences from book to show that I thought were interesting how they did it. But I think both like stand like on their own, they both have merit. So
yeah.
I agree. It is a fun battle. It's unfortunate what happens at the end. Like with her suit and everything, and you're just like, oh, we're sorry. Anything else on Bobby before we move on?
I mean, I could go all day, but what was that, Christian? Sorry.
Yeah, there was one chapter that I really liked where I think they look at the mech and it's called Yoshimbo, which is they made a reference to the director of that movie called Akira Kurosawa. He directed Yoshimbo, and there were two mentions together, like within a few paragraphs. And the movie guy in me was like, "Yeah, I love Yoshimbo."
That's awesome.
What's it about?
Yeah, I don't know anything about this.
It's what
is it horror?
No, it's a samurai movie.
Ooh.
It's about like a lone, I guess like a Lone Ranger basically type. It's that Clint Eastwood movie basically took Yoshimbo and turned it into a cowboy western. But He's caught between two gangs, and he plays both sides and has them like kill each other, basically, so he can walk away with all the money. And
is that anything similar to kind of like what happens with this book? Like, is that maybe like a hint at some conspiracy? Maybe
that's what I've been trying to think, because I mean, that was like so. I guess specific when I read those. It was because they were talking about like, Avasarala says I've been watching too many Kurosawa movies, and then like a few paragraphs later, she's like, oh, there's Bobby with her mech, or near the mech, called Yoshimbo. And I was like, Avasarala, you watch Kurosawa movies, like make the connection.
I never would have caught that.
No,
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's very cool. Thank you. Yeah. Anything
So
else?
Yeah.
No, that was an excellent addition. I'm so glad you said it. Seriously. Yeah. Anyone else? I don't want to like cut anyone off. Nope, we're good. Because the next new character is Christian Avasarala, who is my potty mouth hero.
I love that she was trying not to cuss around May.
Yeah,
she's like that shit, and it's like she wants to cuss, but she can't because she knows. And that chapter at the end where May is overhearing her cussing is like, "Hey, we got a kid over here." Like, like, oh, sorry.
So cute.
I like the duality of Christian. You know, like she's a grandmother, and Arjun calls it her mask, and it's Christian's way of being a threat, I guess. And I think she says if you can make someone blush, then they're always going to like consider you, I don't want to say threatening, but
like intimidating,
someone to watch out for. And it's how she uses her politics is by being foul-mouthed and outspoken and calling, you know, her people, her subordinates, bobbleheads to their face. And she can do that because no one's gonna say anything against her. Like, she's this little grandmotherly woman, but she can hold her own with anyone, any political rival. Love to see it.
Yeah, I really love like the relationship they show with her and her husband.
Arjun,
I love little Arjun, and like how he's just like her supportive background, and he really is like her guiding star and what she wants to protect, and the reason why she's doing all this is that she thinks of what could happen to him and her family.
Yeah.
The fact that Arjun is a lover of poetry, and she is just this little cursing grandma, like so different from the show character that they made. I mean, the book character is a little older and maybe more, you know, crotchety and not so glamorous.
I love
but
that moment.
I live for Christian Avasarala costumes.
Don't you want to wear those? I want to wear them.
I don't want to talk too much about the show, but I cannot not say something
and
about
her
those
voice.
costumes and
Those
her
stories.
voice.
Oh, yeah,
I love it.
Oh, God. Oh, she's a great actress.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Try not to talk. Sorry, Christian.
Right. Yeah.
Plug your ears.
There was a really funny moment early in the book, I believe, because I didn't really pay attention to her when I was watching the show. So I was like, who's this Marine and older lady? Like, she's awesome, but like I just didn't understand it at the time. And reading it through this book, I'm so happy they separated her and Bobby into book 2, because it really let us get immersed with Holden and Amos and Naomi and everyone else. But my favorite moment is early on when she's getting a call and she's like, "They're fucking with my grandmother time." And I remember I took a picture and I posted it to the Discord. I'm like, okay, I love her now. Like, I loved Avasarala. She's easily my favorite character in the book.
I love that.
Wow, that's awesome. Love it.
And most of it's because Milla's not around, so. But she's probably better. Yeah.
Oh, Miller.
Christian texted today. He was like, "Miller is back." And I was like,
capital letters.
So precious.
What I love about Christian too is they show her reaction to space, about being in space.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah. And she's like, "I'm too old for this shit, and I shouldn't be doing this."
Where's my key?
Yeah, at one point Holden wants her to put her helmet on, and he's like, "She's old enough to weigh the consequences." He's eating pistachios on the ship, and Holden's kind of getting a little bit like protective of the ship because the shells are kind of floating out into 0G, and he's like, "It's not going to break the air recycler. Just, it's fine. It's okay."
I was actually thinking about her pistachios. And like,
I can't see a pistachio and not think of her.
Exactly. Like, I'm thinking about how they describe, like how she's described eating them and how careful she is with the shells to put them in the recycler and everything. And I'm like,
but she reaches into her handbag and she grabs a pistachio and she just starts eating, and they're like floating around.
She's
her
like a squirrel.
Yeah. It's calming to her, probably.
Yeah.
You can totally see her doing it. The book version, like I can't see the show version, but the book version lady, like she's in there.
Yeah.
She's so strategic, you know. She's just incredible.
I love how everyone describes it as chewing meat or whatever. It's like she opened the pistachio to get to the meat. I'm like, why are you describing it that way?
They do have some funny things that, like, if you start looking for, you'll notice. I think the authors quite often say that things go pear-shaped. Like, there's little, like, I don't know if it's from Ty Frank or Daniel Abraham, like which one these little like sayings came from, but you'll start to notice them as the books go on, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Do you like that in books? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Me?
Yeah. Whoever was going to say something, please.
Oh, well, I was going to say is I also love her and Amos's reactions to each other.
Yeah.
And how Amos is like, oh, he totally digs her. Like, he doesn't care that she's could be his grandmother. He's like, yeah, I'm with it.
I'm kind of okay with it.
Yeah.
She knows a lot about him too. Like, she's read everyone's files. So like she has kind of figured everyone out, I think, before even meeting them face to face. But what she says about Amos is interesting because she, you know, she's like, he's a killer.
She knows, yeah. And when Holden is walking up and you can hear Naomi and Amos, Alex and I'm sorry, I got my two scenes confused. Hold on. Avasarala walks in and she can hear Bobby and Alex talking about her. Is that this book?
I think that's right.
I think so, yeah. That sounds right.
And Alex says, what about that potty mouth? And she says, that's just how she is. And like, nobody likes her and blah, blah, blah. And then Alex says, do you like her? And Bobby says, yeah. That's this book, right?
Yeah. And then Avasarala kind of like clears her throat, like, hi, I'm here. Yeah.
Well, she's not used to people complimenting her. And especially hearing that, I think that was a big step.
Especially too, like, Bobby,
Two Martians, yeah.
right. And Bobby, I think it meant a lot to her coming from Bobby, and she knows that it's authentic because she was eavesdropping. So it was, this kind of like behind the curtain moment where she got to hear Bobby's thoughts and just in clarity, and I think it was really nice for her. And then when we get to the end, Bobby makes that decision to go back to Mars. So like it makes you wonder, how's Christian going to continue forward without Bobby on hand? So I'm trying predictions. Any I guess for Tracy and well, you guys have watched the TV show, so
I haven't finished the show, so I don't really know what's gonna happen, but I don't know. I kind of hope that there's like a callback. I hope that at some point, like Avasarala realizes like the duality behind the two. Like it feels very much like Avasarala's like planning and plotting it all, and then Bobby's like, "All right, I'm gonna go do that." And I feel like there's like a nice. That's how they work together, and I hope that comes back somehow.
I can't say.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything to add. I'm sorry.
Should we move to the next?
There was one thing I wanted to add about Avasarala, because you do see like her mindset on her politics and how she's doing it, and then like how when she interacts with each of the crew, especially when she interacts with Naomi. And Naomi has lived under the pressure of these politicians, these Earth politicians, and she's like, "You're not gonna get anything by me," and they don't like each other at all.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Like Naomi sees her for that she's not a grandmotherly role that she tries to portray among the crew, and she's like, "I'm watching you. You're not gonna get the Proto-Molecule."
Yeah, there's a little bit of that real recognizes real energy going on where they've both sized each other up, I think. And it also says a lot about how intelligent they both are, but in different ways, because Avasarala is just this really keen political mind, and she does her homework, and she, I think she obsesses the little details, and she does her research, and she knows as much as she can know. And with Naomi is just this naturally intuitive person, I think. And I mean, I would call her a genius. Like she's incredibly smart, but she's also really, I think, like emotionally intelligent as well. And that was something that Miller picked up on in Leviathan Wakes. When there's the shootout in the hotel lobby, I think it's a hotel lobby or some lobby of wherever. But Miller was like, she's the smartest one. Like, this is, like that guy's the killer. This guy is in charge, but she's the one who like is the most naturally like intelligent out of all of them. And I think that's something that Christian would have picked up on as well. So when you have these two incredibly like intelligent people kind of like staring each other down, I'm sure they're both thinking, what is the other one thinking, and how can I outmaneuver them if I need to? So it would make for a tense first meeting anyways.
Yeah.
Even, on top of the, differences between the belt and the US, or the US, the United Nations of Earth.
Well, and Naomi has like OPA sympathies at the very least, I would say. And so that probably has quite an influence in how she sees Avasarala versus how like Holden or Alex or Bobby or anybody else is going to see her. Like, she's kind of run a bit more of a politically rebellious life in her past. And so I feel like what she has taken into herself, like, pushes her to see Avasarala that way as well.
I'm trying to think if in this book, if we really get any of Naomi's past yet. Was there,
I thought it was in Leviathan Wakes. I could be wrong. A lot of things just kind of tumbled together. I hope I didn't just spoil anything. I tried to keep it fairly vague.
I'm just trying to think if I'm thinking about Naomi's relationship with Fred, but I think it's a little bit different from book to show. And that's where I get a little bit topsy-turvy as well.
Same, yeah.
I think it's in later books. Where
is
we
it?
learn more in later books. Yeah, the show brought it up a little earlier, I think.
And I personally, I'm not sure that she really has like a political agenda. Like, I think she's sympathetic towards belters. I don't think it's like an OPA thing really too much.
Yeah, because she grew up in the Belt, and she is the only Belter on the ship, except for Prax. But Prax grew up totally different than how she did.
That's true.
I love that distinction as well, because you could have this homogenized, like monolithic, anyone who doesn't live on Earth or Mars is like this. But even the difference between growing up on Ganymede versus on the Belt, like low G versus no G, it's still incredibly different for these two characters, and even what they look like. So it's just kind of like cool that there is such diversity, and the author has really like dealt with it and kind of inserted it in as many places as they could, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to behind the scenes stuff, I only really know about them from what Avasarala was thinking to herself when she first boards. Because I don't know really anything. I didn't know there was a, I guess, connection between her and Fred, unless I missed it while reading it. But I don't really know anything about the behind the scenes before book 1. So I hope we get more of that.
We got a YouTube comment, and now I'm remembering it. It is mentioned in the first book when they're all being interrogated on the Donager.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Willow Tree.
Needed that. Thank you. So helpful. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So the next thing that I wanted to discuss is the Proto-Molecule, because obviously it's a huge part of our storyline, and in this book it is very different, I feel, than in the first book. Like, we still have a very similar threat of like what happens if you're exposed to it, but we are now being given a terrifying example of what happens when this becomes weaponized. And so I just kind of wanted to ask you guys, like, how it played out for you, how you felt about it. Like, there are a lot of ethical things happening here that are just like, what? Yeah. So
I think the opening with the Proto-Molecule, like Bobby's experience on Ganymede, that was page turning and terrifying. I really was not expecting it to go in that direction, like in terms of like what the Proto-Molecule was going to become and like what it was going to do. And like just this image of like these UN soldiers running, and like they're like, what the heck is up with that? Like, they're coming to attack us. Like, and then they're like, wait, they're running from something. And then like the comms break down and they can't even communicate with each other. And like that moment where Bobby is like like she grabs one of her fellow soldiers, like one of her teammates' head like helmets, and she like puts it like right next to hers. She's like screaming at the top of her lungs trying to communicate, and I thought, like, I was just like, this is different, dude. Like, this has changed. This is like next level, dude. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I loved it. Terrifying, but I loved it.
I cannot remember if that happened in the show, because I remember Bobby having a big action scene and then being pulled in front of the council, and that was all I could remember from both Avasarala's plot and Bobby's. And when I was reading that, I was like, I don't remember any of this, and I want to see the final form of the Proto-Molecule. I love everything about it. I love its evolutionary I guess aspects of it. Just it never ends. It feels like the Thing from 1984.
The Thing.
Which it just had its 40th anniversary I think yesterday.
It's in theaters
Love
right
that
now.
movie.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I remember there's that point in towards the end when Holden and I think it's just Holden boards the ship, and he sees the like cellar. There's like a hole in the ground, and they all just look at him, and like that just made my spine tingle. Like they didn't act like animalistic. They just turned and looked at him, and like I could not do that in that situation. Holden really kept it together in that, because compared to how it is in the first book, where it's just spores or something and vomit zombies, it's like totally different now.
Oh, it's anthropomorphic.
It's so interesting.
Human being.
And I love that go ahead, Ripley, please.
Oh, I was gonna say, what I love about it is that even though they did like change it and try to weaponize it, it still is basically the proto-molecule. Like, it's, even though it is learning, you could see it learning, it's still trying to follow its basic programming, which is like find radioactive energy and do the work.
Yeah. It's not working out, leave a bomb. Create a bomb.
Like the part where, I mean, Bobby, I love how Bobby kind of like goes into this like predator prey mode where she's studying it and rewatching her feed and trying to figure out kind of what makes it tick. And she says, okay, like it's just going to start throwing things at me because it's really, really fast, but she figures out that if she can kind of like zigzag, it can't keep up with her as well as it could. And so she's expecting it to start throwing things at her after that happens, which turns out that happens. And what she doesn't realize at one point is when it's ready to self-destruct, like she's expecting it to do what it did the first time, it takes the self-destruct piece of itself, rips it out, and throws it at her. And I was like, why did that happen? It's been so long since I read that book. And I was just like, oh, like such a cool monster moment because it was so unexpected.
Right? It's like ripping off your arm to beat somebody with it, you know? Take that.
That's an awesome moment when she's taken down while she's in her suit, where it like sprouts like tentacles and it's like digging around her suit, trying to infect her.
So creepy.
Like, oh my god.
So creepy.
It was so nasty.
The way she describes it too, like just like it was almost like sexual. Like
it was.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna say that, but it was. Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
It was
unnerving.
Gross. Yeah.
I think that the proto-molecule in this book is just so. It's so interesting. It's like the whole time I just kind of wanted to know more about what was going on with it. And then like learning that it was children, I feel like was like, just like, okay, here's where we're at now, buddy. I was like,
Yeah.
that was heavy. It was really it felt like that was one of the reasons why I think this book is just so good. It was just like constantly kind of like pulling at these things I just wasn't expecting, and that was definitely at the top of the list.
And that are uncomfortable, really
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
Like things that just kind of make you go like, oh, what the fuck?
I did want to ask you guys like how you felt about children being used in this transformation process of an attack.
I just kind of want to build on something before we
Please, no, go ahead.
over to that. But I love how the Proto-Molecule monster is like one of the bad guys of this book, but I wouldn't necessarily say like it's the biggest monster of the book, because I think that's left reserved for the humans.
I agree.
Okay.
Oh my god.
It's like if you didn't hate them last book, here's something worse that they're doing.
No, look what we can do. Look what we will do with alien technology. We will use it to kill each other. We're just
immediately.
Yeah.
Like it was as soon as they found it, they were like, how can we use this to destroy other things? And that is
corporate greed, etc.
Yeah.
Tracy and I just talked about this week, but how like human nature can be like, we found a thing. How can this thing make us powerful? How can we use this thing without without like any real like morals behind it? It's you know, can we make money off of it? Can it bring me wealth? Can it bring me power? And it's like human nature. Wow.
I think that's how Jules Pierre Mao was really represented, that whole aspect, and there was nothing about him that we were ever supposed to care about.
Yeah. I don't even feel sympathy for him.
No.
When Julie, I like just anger, like fury.
Yeah.
Use your wealth for good. Okay, sorry. It's not
we know why Julie left.
Right?
He's off his hand now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone painted her as like a spoiled kid, and then we see him finally. It's like, oh no, she was right. I'm
Poor
happy
little
she
rich girl.
Little rich girl. Yeah, I love when he gets his comeuppance in the end.
When he's being let out with these brutes of like jailers.
And Avasarala, she's like, no one's gonna remember you. You're gonna die in a hole.
She really like, that is how you cut into a man like Jules Pierre Mao. That's, I mean, she just dismantles him, like eviscerates him, hits him right where it hurts.
It's kind of like Wheel of Time moment. It's kind of like Cadsuane when she figures out how to disarm like someone powerful. She's like, what would I hate? What would make me feel like total shit? I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. Come here, Jules Pierre Mao.
Yeah.
You will be nothing and you will stay alive. Boom. That's it.
And I love that Holden witnesses this.
Right.
And she purposely brought him in because he asked her, like, hey, can I come? I just want to ask him why. And she's like, fuck yes, you are coming with me.
What a bitch!
Thinking that she would say no.
Because she knows it would embarrass him.
I know,
like,
it's so good.
It
is a master class in humiliation.
How can you not love her for that?
I love her. Okay, so I
Proto-Molecule children.
I still have a couple things on that. I think we were jumping to the children aspect, and maybe this still kind of works into it, because the thing above it I have is what Adrian said, create a bomb. Like, that's how they control the proto-molecule, because they know, like Ripley said, it's got one objective, and so they have to find a way to make it do what they want it to do, but they know it's going to jump the rails. So they have a bomb inside it, which then it uses later on as a defensive weapon. So this is where it comes into children. Sometimes I feel like I need to create a bomb to contain my children and not necessarily like I would put it in them so they would explode, but maybe just a diversion,
Mother
something
monster?
like that. Anytime I use my like world greatest mom mug, I'm like, am I?
You are.
I love you, Aiden. Thank you for the mug. But that's
Yeah,
always
no.
the question.
I'm going to remain silent on this topic.
That's funny.
Okay, yeah. So as far as like switching that over to children, how do you guys feel? What justifies, if anything, using sick children to create a weapon with an alien material that you don't fully understand? Yay or nay? Should we put it to a vote? Is this new technology we should use like this?
I don't.
We wouldn't have a story though.
That's
So
true.
then we wouldn't be
Right.
here if they hadn't used children.
We need a true monster, as Amber pointed out. We need a real monster. Yeah.
Makes
Yeah,
me
I
think.
mean, we already saw what Jules Pierre Mao lost with Julie, and he was not that. He didn't seem to be that broken up about it, you know.
No.
So, is it shocking that he would care about someone else's kid? No,
Well,
I don't
I
think
was
so.
actually just thinking like he probably is like, my own child is a sacrifice for the
Right,
cause.
like I
So other
sacrificed it,
people
so.
should be sacrificing their children for this great step in advancement and whatnot. Ugh. Okay, gross.
Yes, gross.
Boo.
Boo.
Yeah,
JPM.
I just don't think that there's any justification for that period. Like that was I do not understand.
Full
it,
stop.
and-
Is that what it is?
Yeah, just like don't
What?
do
Okay.
that. Big
Do you
Yeah.
guys think that if, like, in our time, someone discovered some type of what they thought to be incredible technology that obviously turned out to be something incredibly dangerous, do you think that they would stop working with it if,
No.
No.
Okay.
Oh, look
I
at
don't
all these
either.
cynics. These
Yeah.
are my people.
But remember, I remember Miller. Miller killed that unethical doctor.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name right now, but he was the one who said, "You guys were listening to him.
Yep. He was
Mhm.
making
You
sense
guys
to you. I
were
saw it.
listening.
Mhm.
He's out of here." And it took a Miller type character to end the science part
Mhm.
for a little while.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He did his part. Yeah. Unethical science.
Like what made me think about the kids, like especially since last night while I was at work, I was listening to like a true crime podcast, and it was about like these two guys that kidnapped a busload of children, and they said that the reason why they chose children is because they're easy to control and they're precious. So
That is a good segue, because isn't that like also why Strickland keeps some of them around?
alive, yeah. That's
Yeah.
why he saved me, because they put her on as the face of Gadamine.
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
So he
really
knew,
good
like,
connection. Yeah.
if he knew if someone came, like, he would have a reason for them not to just blow their research station up, or he could at least try to have some type of exchange or something. He could probably find a way to get out of it, and maybe obviously did not work,
Like he
because
even tries to do that in the end and say, "Oh, I was protecting them, and they were forcing me to do it."
thank goodness you're here.
No.
This is how I feel. This is how I feel
Batman,
about that guy. Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
What a
Amos, I
dick.
am that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, Amos.
Was
So
anyone
fucking
shocked
cool.
by that moment? Like,
Oh,
were you expecting it? I'm thinking maybe for new readers.
I feel like I
Um,
was because we just read Poppy Boy, where we get similar science experiments, and that just reminded me of the whole Unit 731 historical periods, where I guess Japanese scientists were experimenting on, I think, Chinese kids, and just figuring out how diseases work. And it's not an ancient technology made by billions old aliens, but I don't know. It was depressing, and I was not surprised when it happened, because I guess that's just lately stuff that keeps popping up. So I was ready.
Okay, continue. My heart just hurts so much, like talking about some of these things, and we all just kind of feel like this is unfortunately that human nature that sometimes prevails in a really hopeless feeling way. And so I love that there's like so many moments of hope and possibility that also fall out amidst all of this violence and death and people aiming to kill other people. And then there are other people that are like, I will stop at nothing to stop you. And they do. And you're like, yes, underdogs, Rossi, Bobby in her suit, give me everything. I just love it. And I needed it so bad. Like, I needed it. Yeah.
I think the pessimistic nature of the authors really comes out in this series.
Just a
Like,
tiny
yeah,
bit, tiny.
it's almost like verging on nihilistic almost, but the thing that keeps like bringing you back is that found family between the crew of the Rocinante and whoever they encounter who kind of comes into their circle, I guess.
Yeah.
And I love how like that's the anchor, I think.
I love that moment. I think it's towards the middle, because I recently read it. Is when Holden's giving his speech to the crew, and he's like, "Don't cry in front of everyone. Don't cry." And he notices Amos is crying. He's like, "Okay, it's all good now. I can cry. Like, as long as we're all acting like kids, like it's fine." And I love that that found family aspect of the series. And so far, nothing has happened to them, so I'm very happy. Hopefully, nothing ever happens.
Well, actually, with you bringing that up, the found family idea, that's actually one of the things that I have in here. So if you guys don't have anything else on the Proto-Molecule, I wanted to like ask how you feel about the representation of friends, family, found family, because I think all three are present and made really valid in how we feel about them, and that like male-female relationships can be platonic and can still have like a strength to them that has nothing to do with romance. Like there's some very good relationships within those dynamics, and I wanted opinions, please, friends.
I think starting out the series, my least favorite relationship was between Holden and Naomi.
I knew you were going to say that. You may have told me.
But I love how how the next book progresses, like you can see why Naomi is so important to the story. And I think, at first it's like, oh, okay, like she's the, she's the number 2 and he's the captain. And of course there has to be a couple somewhere on the ship. So, it has to happen somewhere, but it's so necessary because Holden was kind of like snowballing and he's kind of turning into Miller, not really, but that's what he's being compared to now. And I think there's a moment where he was thinking, like, even after they had made up from their arguments or whatever, he's like, I think they were like laying in the crash couch together. He's like, I could see how easily this could have never happened again, and how, like, yeah, I've been in relationships, I've been with other women before, but I've never had this. And so, like, it goes from just being like, oh, it's the captain and the girl and they're a thing, but now it's like, okay, like, they have real feelings for each other, and she will only say I love you back to him on her own terms. She won't say it to him after he says it to her first. I'm like, all right, Naomi, like, now I'm kind of like beginning to appreciate the relationship.
Yeah, what I love about showing in their relationship, especially like after they have their breakup and she like moves off the ship and all that stuff, and when he goes to apologize to her, he's like, this isn't me apologizing, and I don't expect us to get back together. And she even says, she's like, we're not just going to jump back into the relationship. He's like, oh, that's fine, the ship needs you. No, I can't run the ship without you.
Yeah, literally irreplaceable.
Anyone else have like a relationship combo type thing?
Just
Family?
the whole Rocinante crew. I think that's just like its own little family of some of my favorite people that really just work really well together. There's a lot of great synergy going on. Where somebody lacks, it feels like there's always somebody else who's like really strides in that area. Yeah, I keep coming back to the series for that crew. Like, I keep coming back for the Rocinante crew. I want to always see where they're going. They're my favorite.
I liked how in this book, the Rocinante crew finally becomes their own entity because Holden gets fired, and he has that moment of like, where, I mean, typically you think of someone getting fired, it's like, oh no, like, I have bills to pay, I have a ship that I need to pay for, an expensive Martian
ship,
military ship to pay for. Holden walks out and he's like giddy. And when he says it the first time, Amos, you know, being Amos, he's like, holy shit, and like gets a big dopey smile on his face. And it's interesting how like this one moment changes so much for them as a unit. And so I feel like they're even closer, probably.
Yes.
They're beholden to themselves and they can make their own decisions. And
and the first decision they make is they're going to go save a child.
Yeah,
they're going to go do that. That's great.
It feels so Rocinante appropriate. Like, you feel like they're like on the right course again. You're like, there you guys go. There you are. You were missing for a minute. Welcome back. We needed you.
Yeah. And like, even when they're going to save the child and they run into the SOS from Bobby and Avasarala, they're like, we gotta step in.
Right. Oh, and aren't we glad they did that collision? God. I almost couldn't handle it. Seriously. Like, it was like, Avasarala, Bobby, Amos. Oh my God. Like, all of these people together. Am I going to love it? Am I going to hate it? Are they going to get along? What's going to happen? Like, it was just this really, like, there's so many strong personalities in that group with like so many ideas of where they want to go and how they get their information across and whatnot, that I was like, this is going to be good.
I love too how like they're even like objects that are parts of the relationship. Like the Rocinante itself is a character. Jules Pierre Mao's like pleasure yacht, like it defines so much about him. And then we have the racing pinnace, the
Razorback.
Can't take
and
the
like
Razorback.
And there's all of like these incredible moments, and you couldn't have it without the ships, and I love that.
Yeah.
How the ships become alive to us.
Yeah.
And Avasarala, she's looking around the row scene. She's like, well, it ain't fancy, but I can communicate. You know, they cut off her communication on the fancy ship. And now she has all these ways to talk to everybody. She feels welcome. Everybody feels welcome. And Prax makes pudding. So I say A+ for everyone.
Prax's pudding.
Yeah. Like, who wants pudding? Oh, I want pudding over here.
Love that. Forgot about Prax and his pudding.
That was so sweet. And he was like,
eat together, you know, that's a huge way that the crew brings in these travelers who come to their ship every once in a while, and trying not to be spoilery.
And I mean, really, what's more family than feeding someone and sitting down together with them over what you've made? So it just, to me, like, food always goes hand in hand with like finding common ground and welcome.
Yeah, but he was making the pudding, I think, to like give them a private moment. So like the outsider, Holden says, like the outsider does something to kind of like, even though he's in the same room as them, if he's being occupied, he's letting them have a private kind of like intimate moment. And it's just one of those things that makes you love Prax, where it was like
thoughtful,
being respectful.
Even if it was something he was doing unconsciously, like he's still doing it to like give them space, where it's like, oh, Prax, like you're just a good guy.
Totally. In line with what we're talking about with like objects being characters, with Bobby's suit and Holden getting her proper ammo for her. Right. And it's just
love that.
Like Holden's like, I'm sometimes just a dick. But sometimes I'm a good guy. And I know you'd really like this. So peace. Are we cool now? I'm gonna go walk that way, and thanks for playing. Like, it's such a good interaction. And again, thoughtful. It's thoughtful. Like, he knew what she would want and need, and he figured it out, and he got it for her. And I just think, Holden, figure it out. You're working on it.
Do you think he was doing it to be like, here, a gift for you, I like you so much? Or was it also like, we're probably gonna need these?
Oh, I think both.
Okay.
This is like one of those win-win gifts where it's like, you get something you want, I get something I want, protection. Like, yeah, everyone wins, you know? Bobby's like a little kid at Christmas. Woo! Look at all these bullets, or whatever they are. Like, she's just thrilled. She couldn't be happier. And I love that. So yeah, I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think the moment when like before she gets that, because doesn't she get that, like, don't they get those rounds from a Martian ship after a battle in space?
Yeah.
Isn't that our first space battle that we, or no, it's not our first space battle, but like this one was Rossi's first takedown of another ship, wasn't it? Like,
they did have the first.
The stealth
they got
ship,
the first kill on the stealth
hit.
ship. Yeah. And I just thought that was such an awesome detail of like Alex had been practicing in the first book on like those maneuvers for a long time, and like to get to see the Rocinante in action like that, I was like, it was so cool. Even just reading it, I was like flipping through pages. I was like, I need to read as fast as the Rocinante is going right now. It was
awesome. I love how this book introduced us to ground warfare and with Bobby and Proto-Molecule and everything, and her team, and how it goes with ground warfare, and the Rossi gets to enter the battle. And you know, Naomi is such a pacifist in her own way, but you know, there she was handling stuff, you know, and they were communicating well, and it showed you how they talk. And Holden like stops being a goofball and takes over command. Okay, this, you know, it's just like, to me, it's kind of like real life, and I want to join the group.
It's like when the you know, like husband and wife doing the dishes, one's washing and one's drying, you know? Alex is flying, Bobby's shooting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Naomi's doing like the comms and spraying the.
Yeah. The thing is, it really does show like how short-handed they are on the Rossi, because what they mentioned a couple times, like 30 people can fit on the ship. And when Bobby takes over the guns, Naomi's like, okay, I'll just handle this shit then. Like,
yeah, and I mean that's actually a really good point too, because they never really go out of their way to beef up their crew. You know, they're like, you know what, this is good. We will somehow make this work, and this is us, just this little group. This is us, and I like that. And like, really, it takes an emergency for them to actually like expand the number of people who they have welcomed into the working of the ship. So I just think that that's it's just fun. It's just fun.
I love when
I just appreciate the use of the word expanse. We can end it now.
Good night, everyone. Actually, Christian, you looked like you had something you wanted to say. Yeah.
Yes. I love when Avasarala is at the Cheo and she's like looking at something and Naomi's like, hey, I'm at the wrong screen. Can you change it? He's like, oh, fuck, sorry. And she like changes it and she's just in charge of like receiving messages. And you see Holden being like, I don't know what they're saying, but it sounds like it's helping. So I'll let her do her thing.
I love how she's like, can someone show me how the fuck this thing works?
That's her.
It sounds like me. Well, I love her so much. I'm like, that. I got you. That's how I sound in my head most of the time anyway. Yeah. Okay, so we've got about a half hour left. And so I think the three things that I have that I want to make sure we potentially touch on, and I'll let you guys kind of decide what we want to do. Favorite moments, predictions about the Proto-Molecule, and or predictions for the next book. Does anybody want to take one?
Favorite moments, I think, would be a fun one.
Yeah?
I'm really curious what everyone's favorite moments are.
Okay.
I think I know what mine are.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all the like action moments, like the tense kind of like, ooh, what's gonna happen next? Someone's in danger, and then like space battle. Like the space battles are always like at the top of the list for me, I think.
Yeah.
And I love a good monster movie. And to me, like these books are kind of like tense and a little bit like there's this tiny bit of horror aspect in them, but I don't think that it goes like over the top where I don't think it's something that people would like have like really bad nightmares over. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's not like super duper scary, but there are some themes like when you think about it where it's more kind of like dread, maybe. I don't know, but it's just like a good mix of everything in this book. Great characters, good battles, good monsters. Like it.
Yeah. I think my favorite moment, and of course it's an Amos moment because he's like my favorite character in the whole series, is when they find Strickland and the children. And you also see like Prax's good moment is that when he finds May and he's like he just looks at Strickland and he's like, whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. I have my daughter. And then Amos is like, bam. He's like, I am that guy. He's like, okay, we could go now.
No, that's such a good Amos moment. I feel like every Amos moment is a great Amos moment. But I like how Amos does that. And then Holden basically does the same thing in the end to Admiral Nguyen. And I think it was something inside of him, like he could feel Miller like approving. I'm like, ooh.
Does he say something like somewhere in his brainstem, Miller nodded?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That was like, it's such a good line. But I love how like it kind of goes full circle. Like Amos gets almost retribution for what Prax and May had gone through. And then I think Holden is just like, like, I'm just over it. Like, these people, there's nothing redeeming. Like, this guy just does not get to walk. He does not get a second chance. And yeah, I didn't hate it. Didn't hate it.
Yeah, please.
My favorite moment is for sure when the Proto-Molecule octopus leaves the atmosphere and floats away, because I love the evolutions of all the Proto-Molecule monsters, and it becoming a giant octopus, because I don't remember how big it was, but it said it like rose above the clouds. In my head, that was it, like getting ready to like jump and then into the atmosphere. I don't know how big it actually is. I haven't seen the show. But when that happened, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I want to see it, cause so much drama for our story and for our characters. And I love that everyone just kind of stopped talking and looked at the TV. Because it was like, what are they saying? And we just see it just float off.
Isn't that such a good like monster movie moment where like all the world is watching, like I think of like Signs, when there's like the little girl's birthday party somewhere and like everyone's watching the news and like they get the first sighting of this big scary what is it moment. I feel like that was the moment in this book, I think.
I was thinking of Cloverfield.
I think look, it says that like, because I ended up having like, I just wanted to read that part again because it gives me chills every time, because it is like, oh my god. But I'm pretty sure it says that those events happened 47 minutes ago, and like to imagine that like they're receiving this broadcast and how long it's been, and like what is it doing now? Where is it? Like, what is it? Like, I think that just added into the whole like, all right, I gotta
dread.
Just like, what the fuck is going on, dude? And it's such a, I thought that part was definitely I think I nailed it down to like top 3, and that one's definitely in the top 3.
And where's it going? Because it has the imprint within its DNA from the aliens who made it. Like, where's it going? Are there other aliens out there that's going to just shoot down the octopus and we'll never find out what happens? Or even like in the book of It, there's a really cool moment in the It novel from Stephen King where we get a POV of Pennywise the entity when he first arrives to Earth. And I wonder if we're going to get a POV of this octopus creature.
I love these predictions so much.
What's really scary about the octopus rising from Venus is that we're finally seeing what the Proto-Molecule planned to do from why it got shot into our solar system, and we're finally seeing what it's planning. And so you're like, what's happening?
Yeah.
And this isn't like any human, it is kind of like a human like design, that it's not what they did with the Proto-Molecule soldiers or whatever. It's what this alien technology was designed to do, and so
it's doing what it must do the work.
And has it ever seen an octopus before? Because why did it have to take that shape? And that's what I love so much. All these different questions.
You know what, though? Like, out of all of the creatures on Earth, I think the octopus is the most like alien looking creature, like squids and
why? Why?
Like they can change their color, like they can
fit through tiny spaces.
Right.
They don't have any bones.
Also, they have those big brains, right?
And those
They have 2, I think. Or
They're
like
smart,
5 hearts and stuff.
intelligent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can't they like
Hard to
regrow their
kill.
limbs or something?
I think
Yes.
so.
When
Yeah.
you cut the tentacle, it's still squirming. Like, yeah.
It's there's something too about their DNA that's just like incredibly different than most of the other like life forms on Earth. I don't know.
Really?
Yeah, they're creepy. I mean,
That's cool. I didn't know
creepy,
that.
Yeah, they can feel pain and stuff like that. But a squid
Yeah.
can't, but an octopus can't. Like registering it. Ow, this arm
But
hurts.
welcome to There Is No Book Club zoology.
Now I can't stop thinking about octopi.
Yeah, octopi, I think.
I looked it up because I was DMing or I was on Discord with Christian and I looked it up. Is it octopi or octopuses? And it actually said it was octopuses. So I put that. And then Christian answered me and said octopi. And I'm like, okay, fine. It's octopi.
It sounds like it's
I don't know the actual answer.
Yeah, it sounds like you got one answer and he got a different one. So just pick what makes you happy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's oh sorry, just one more thing about the octopi.
Okay. Oh, yummy. Let's make some.
How Christian brought up, like how did it
choose that form?
Yeah, like is it taking stuff from the people it killed? Is the question now.
Is it
like
eating
how
humans?
else? Yeah, like how? Yeah, like the people that died on Arrows. Is it still taking stuff from them, like their memories and all that stuff?
Is Julie still in there?
Yeah.
I wonder if we're gonna get giant like kaiju monsters. Like
I want it.
I want it.
I want Mothra. Hope Mothra comes. Oh wait, no, I finished already. No Mothra.
Best creature theme song ever. Yeah.
I was gonna say someone's gonna start singing it. I'm just waiting.
Oh man. Edit that part out.
No apologies. I'm honestly kind of surprised no one said the Arbogast yet. That's in this one, right?
Yeah, I remember I talked to you.
Like I've been waiting for Aiden to be like, I'm gonna talk. He's mentioned it like a gajillion times.
Yeah.
Isn't that in this one or is that in the first one?
What's the Arbogast again?
The Arbogast. So there's this point where
should I look it up before?
Before we talk about
Avasarala. No, because I'm pretty sure that it is.
Is that the science ship?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that is in this one.
Like
okay, thanks.
Apart, like a Lego set, like in the atmosphere, and it's just like ripped apart. Doo, 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 and all the screws come out. Shoop.
Yes.
And it was just like, what are you doing, thing? Like, what's the plan, guy?
Right. That part of the. Can I talk about the show? That scene.
I was.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they're so similar. Yeah.
That scene was just incredible.
Yeah.
In the show.
Yes.
And I remember, I listened to the audiobooks and I think I missed part of that in the story, probably was driving and whatever. But then when I saw it on the screen, I'm like, oh, that must be that ship. And that, and because it just went ching, 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 ching. And they were all still alive. That was fascinating. Yep. Great work. Great special effects.
I think one of my favorite little like Easter egg tidbits in that scene is that Adam Savage from Mythbusters is one of the guys in it. And he is a huge Expanse fan. He got to like tour the set and stuff. It was super awesome. I just think it's so cool that he got to be in this show. So yeah, that's a fun point to see.
But I love
keep my eye out.
Yeah,
I was gonna say, Christian, for you, the movie buff guy, keep your eye out.
I grew up on Mythbusters too, so
right.
Yeah.
That's like a double dose of awesome there.
That's my man, dude. Yeah. I think, like I said, for my top, because I just can't narrow it down to one because there are just so many great points in this game or in this. Love it so much. It's like a game. I love it in this book that it's like definitely the beginning. Every time that I talk about the book, I think that it's always that first part with Bobby is what got me to just all right, I'm gonna chug through this book. Like I plowed through the book in like a week once I really started to get turning on it, and like it was just so great. And every time I talk about the book and the series, I do mention that particular part just because it's so cool. And then the space battle and Venus. I think that those are all like equally crazy and awesome in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Has everyone said like favorite moments?
I don't think I did.
Please do.
Okay, so my favorite things is the humor. I have to have some humor or I'm out of here. Like, I don't know if I ever told you guys, Amber, I like started the Dune series. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna read Dune. Ooh, wow, Dune. And the first book was so good, but I started the second one and there's no humor. It's so very dry, and I'm like, okay, this is what I need. Tyrion Lannister, you know, this was back in the day. Forget this Dune stuff. Going back to Song of Ice and Fire, but I love the humor, the funny little humor moments, mostly between Avasarala and Bobby, like when Soren tries to put this false video out there saying that Bobby is not who she says she is, and everything, and you know. Bobby finally finds her, says, look, there's a problem. We got to talk about Soren. And then she says, okay, why are you laughing? Because apparently Avasarala was giggling, saying, look, you're it. It's just going to be me and you.
Right.
You know, you don't understand what's going on. I figured out that guy's a fake. He's working for everybody's my enemy except you and my husband. So that was a funny little moment. Also, I love them in the bar where they first meet. And she says, I'm Christian Avasarala, you know, come work for me. And Bobby's like, whatever. She's like, research me, research my name or something. Come work for me. You know, because they have already started the relationship of, yes, I'm your enemy. You think I'm your enemy. You've been programmed this way, but I got your back. I'm going to have your back. I watched you in the meetings, supposed to talk about everything, and you know, Bobby says, are we talking about this monster, or are we going to talk about politics the whole time? You know, so I mean, they needed each other so much, and the humor that when they were together just gave me a little joy. So I like that. And I need the humor, and there's a lot of humor in this series, which you really do need, because I can't do stuff like Dune anymore. I got to have some levity.
Yeah.
And no horror movies either. No horror.
Yeah. My favorite parts are the political parts, and like the maneuverings, how people see each other, how they try to work with or against each other. We have a lot of different factions happening. We have the like really extreme views that like some Martians have of Earthers. And so like just the way that people are perceived or discussed or used, I think is like, for me, that I like following those little trails and where is it going to go and who is using what and what happens next. So.
And she saw it all coming, didn't she? She's like, yeah, this is the game, as she called it, the game, you know, like the game of houses, you know, like in the Wheel of Time. But she saw everything. She's way ahead of it. She's so awesome. I love her.
There's always a game, right? Ooh. Okay, so favorite moments are fairly well covered. Yeah, feeling good. Okay, so then predictions for the Proto-Molecule or predictions for the book, where we're gonna go, who's gonna do what, anything along those lines?
Can only be answered by you, Aiden, and Christian.
Okay, because we haven't read everything.
No, I can't. Well, I mean, I feel like I have a tainted view because I've already read the third book, so I can't really make any predictions off of this book.
I mean, you could like long-term, like end game predictions, if you have any.
I'm gonna let other people talk about it and see if I can come up with any that don't spoil anything.
Okay, Christian, how about you?
for the next book, I hope we get a little more of I always forget his name. The Butcher of Anderson Station.
Fred
Fred.
Johnson?
Fred Johnson.
Fred, yes. I hope we get more of him. I was happy that he fired Holden, because that means that now they can do whatever they want. But I still wanted him like as a POV, because we, in the epilogue of book 1, we got like a short little chapter from his point of view. And it felt very kind of like in the Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson. Anytime we got like a bad guy point of view, rather from Odium, or in the Wheel of Time, anytime we get a Forsaken point of view, it's like, yes, give me more of that, because like it's just different. Yeah. I love when we get like unconventional POVs, and I want more of those. I love who we have now, but let's get more.
Aiden, anything?
You go ahead first.
Okay. So since I have watched like the entire TV series, I don't know how much of the book series has been spoiled for me. But as far as like the Proto-Molecule in particular, because I feel like if I tried to make any kind of hypothetical about where the series is going to go, I would just sit here kind of dumbfounded for a while. So one thing, just the Proto-Molecule, as much as it's like likened to an octopus, the other thing that it makes me think of is like vines, like things that grow and develop and like push further and make things. So we've had it morphing from one thing to another, and now to this. Is this its final stage? Is there another stage past this? Is there another stage past that? Is there a different variation of the Proto-Molecule that's just kind of waiting for this one to wake up, and then that one's even worse than this one? So, you know, like steps of COVID. Each one's a little worse than the one before it. So are there mutations of the Proto-Molecule waiting to attack us? Those are my questions.
Yeah, I think very much based off of that, just kind of like, I kind of want to know where it came from and / who it came from. Like if it was sent out in the
like
way
its origin story.
Yeah, like the idea of it being sent out. Yeah, that.
Mysterious.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good question. I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I'm like, oh, it's just there.
I will say in this book there were 2 quotes given by 2 different characters that actually tell you exactly what happens at the end of the books. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say which 2 characters. Maybe when we get to the last book, I can
exciting,
point it out.
I know. I'm like, damn it!
What the?
Yeah. When I read it, I was like, well, I listened to it this time around, but when I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's exactly what happens. Okay, interesting. But it's 2 separate quotes by 2 separate characters, and it's basically the final 2, I guess, plot points of the last book, I would say.
What the heck, dude? My mind is blown right
now. Yeah. Thanks. I mean, that might be the highest endorsement, to like either read it or read it again and see.
But the thing is, like, I feel like if you were looking for it, you would never be able to find it because you know so many things are said, but it's definitely like, okay, he just said that, and that's exactly
he.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit.
There are a lot of he's.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think at the very least, this has got me like, okay, I need to read through the rest of the series now. Like, I just want to plow through it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. I've kind of taken a break. like I finished up at Abaddon's Gate, and I started Cibolla's War, and I've just kind of like, or Cibolla's Burn, and I've just kind of put it down for a bit. But now I'm like, oh fuck, dude, I gotta get back into it.
Yeah, Cibola Burn starts out a little slower.
Yeah.
I got to say, while we're just talking about this, that one of the best books I've ever read is in this series, and I read all the time. Tiamat's Wrath, I think, is one of the best books I've ever read as a human.
Wow. Okay.
It's really so great. I'm so excited for you guys that are going to get
Yeah.
there.
That's exciting.
I'm happy to be on the training. Oh, do you? That's such a great book.
Huh.
Mhm.
What number is that in the series?
Oh gosh, it's
5?
Is it 5?
Or no, 8. You're right.
I have to look it up.
I get the names mixed
Yeah,
up.
I think it's 8.
It's such.
I have the book. It's 8.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Not my favorite, but I still love it.
That one really was good.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book in the series, Ripley? Because you've read all the way through to the end too, right?
Yeah, I read all the way through to the end. Oh, that's a hard one. I know in the show, like, what, season 3 would be my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
So I really would say 2 and 3 are probably my favorite books.
Okay.
So Caliban's War, Abaddon's Gate.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'm currently in my read through, and I'm like halfway through book 4, and
that's where I am in my listening. I'm there listening again.
Yeah, like when I first got the series, actually, I got all the books until 5, and I actually stopped reading. And I didn't continue until the last book was going to come out. And so I had to reread them all again. And I was like, oh crap.
Wow.
Worth it?
Yeah, definitely worth it. Definitely. The last book was great. And I was like, oh, this is... I knew it was going to happen this way.
I was very satisfied with how things wrapped up.
Same.
So do you have, Amber, is your favorite the same as Adrian's then?
I really, really like Nemesis games.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also, I have to look at the list of the names really quick.
Yeah, I've got my book over here. I'm looking.
I want to say 7. Is it Persepolis Rising, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Something like
that one was really interesting to me, and I know that some people, like I've heard some people say that that's one of their maybe least favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But I found it really interesting how, I guess, the changes that are made, like that book forward. So I feel like it's pivotal in a way. And I like that about it. But I mean, everything towards the end of the book series is just like, so yeah. But I mean, Nemesis games, I think for particularly like Naomi's character, very interesting stuff. And I feel like she's finally given that time to shine in that book. So love it.
That was awesome.
So for the 3 of you that have read like the entire series all the way to the end, I feel as though the first 2 books are kind of like page turners. You want to get like, you're like, yes, what happens next? And even like the things that are kind of like slow are not slow or necessarily unimportant. Do you feel like it keeps that pace through the rest of the series?
I think for the most part, like the books usually like towards the latter half of the book, like always kind of end up getting like ramped up full of tension. So, I mean, I feel like they keep to that form. So like you always know that there's going to be kind of like this climax and then maybe a little more tense moments and then maybe another like big moment. So it's not that standard like, okay, exposition, we're going to give you a lot of details in the beginning, we're going to tell you about a lot of stuff. And then at the end, there's like the high point. Like they do a really good job of kind of like riding the waves through the series where it's like ups and downs and
that's
Yeah.
lots
cool.
of tension.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I feel like each individual book, like especially going back to the Wheel of Time series, if you love the political stuff,
As I do.
like some of the books are politically based in action. Like when I was reading the Wheel of Time, there's some books that I don't reread because I find them boring. And it's just so long.
I've done that.
But like all the books are really great, but it's just like some of them are more politically based or some of them are more actiony based.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is more what you're geared towards.
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
Good point. Good
It's all
point.
about the new characters, the storylines they bring.
Yeah, yeah, that's really nice. I mean, I feel like with each book you get to know a little bit more about the main group, but then like, oh, there's new people as well. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's always fun as long as you like the new characters.
Yeah, I feel like so far my favorite point of view is in the third book, just because it's so like crazy, cool, all right. And I think like I'm just so excited for us to talk about the next one after
I know,
this.
I'm
Like,
excited
yeah.
too. Yeah.
yeah, like this series is one of the first like fictional series that has like grabbed me and has just like I just want to keep reading it. Like I mostly read nonfiction, political based history, but this is like whoa, this, like I think when we did the first live stream it was a lot of like this is what could happen in the future. Like this feels grounded in reality. And I think that it kind of still sticks to that idea and I really value that. I think it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Good hard sci-fi.
Yeah.
I think we had just posted on our Discord channel for anyone who's watching now or later.
Mm-hmm.
We do have a Discord channel, but I believe June 1st we will start the next book, Abaddon's Gate, and then
July 1st?
I was like July 1st.
what did I say?
You said June.
I'm sorry, it's midnight. I'm
No,
sorry.
it's totally fine. I was just like, are we going? Is this
Thank you.
time travel
Yes, this is-
opportunity?
Yeah, so I think we can see how long it takes some people to read it, but we can probably look at, 2-3 weeks or something,
Mhm.
depending on what everyone's schedule is like. We can go
Cool.
from there if anybody wants to read with us
Mm-hmm.
or do Discord.
Christian says he has to go back to reading The Witcher.
Ah.
I can still wait on them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think, is there anything else we want to say before we wrap up tonight? Because we've got about 3 minutes to go. We have plans for Abaddon's Gate, right? That's book 3. That's the next one we're covering.
And then August, we are doing Babel.
Babel. Yes. And are we making plans for the second book for, what is it?
The Poppy War series.
Yeah, is it the Dragon Republic? It is. Sorry. It's on
I
my
think so.
bookshelf and my headphones are stuck in my drawer. Yeah, so the second book is the Dragon Republic. I didn't know if we were like,
We could do like a Discord vote, I guess, and
Okay,
see
cool.
like what everyone's feeling.
I love that. Okay, so book options. That sounds great.
Yeah.
And I guess that's good night.
I guess that's good
I
night.
guess that's good night.
Cool.
Thank you everybody for joining us. I appreciate it so
Yes.
much.
Yeah,
It's always so fun. So
this was awesome.
Yeah.
Until next time.
until next
Yeah.
time.
Remember, thank you for staying awake, hon. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Awesome.
trying.
All right.
You've done well. You've done well. All right. I'm going to stop us. End stream.
Yay!
Good job, everybody.
That
Thank
was
you.
awesome.
Yeah.
That was so much fun. I loved this one.
Yeah.